Hello and welcome to this APTA presentation on the 2023 Medicare Physician Fee Schedule and how you can be the most effective advocate on behalf of the profession. My name is Kate Gillard. I am the Director of Health Policy and Payment here at APTA, and I'm joined by my colleague, Andrew Amari, for this presentation.
Hey, Kate, happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, me too. So, Andrew, the fee schedule is always a big deal. Every summer, we're always trying to get as many people as possible to take action. But this year, we're doing things a little bit differently, right?
Absolutely. This year, more than ever, things are being done a little bit different. So we're really looking forward to having and helping APTA members use their own voice to tell their own story when they submit comments to CMS. And this is for a few reasons. First, CMS is changing the way that they're looking and reviewing comments. And also, this year's rule specifically has a special opportunity that I think member feedback and member personal stories will really lend themselves to.
Yeah, so it seems like a really good time to shake things up. But I do want to make it totally clear that we at APTA understand that a lot of you guys are very busy. You don't have time to sit down and write a comment letter. So the old-fashioned APTA template letter will still be available for you. It's in the Patient Action Center right now. So if you want to use APTA's template letter to submit comments, please go ahead and do that. We've got it teed up with all the major issues in the rule. But this year, like Andrew said, we're trying to take the next step. We're trying to make our members the best advocates possible. And so what we're trying to encourage you to do this year is to take the time to draft your own comment letter. This will be a more effective way to reach CMS. And like Andrew said, there's some issues in the rule this year that really require your individual voice. So before we jump into how to draft a comment letter, let's go over those issues and give you a sort of crash course on the three major things we want you to talk about in your comment letter to CMS. So really, there's three big things: payment, PTAs, and underutilized services. The first two are issues you're probably familiar with. We've been dealing with them for a while, but the third one is this key opportunity we have this year for you to tell your own unique story. So let's take these one by one and give you an idea of the issues that we're dealing with and the way that you can submit comments on these issues. So first up, payment. By now, most people understand how the conversion factor works and how Medicare budget neutrality works. Every year, Congress is having to intervene on the fee schedule to artificially inflate the conversion factor in order to avoid cuts. Now, every time Congress does that, they only do it in 1 year chunks, which means every year we have to go back and ask for more money. So that's why this year we're seeing a 4.42% decrease in the conversion factor. This mostly comes from the loss of funding we secured last year in the Protecting Medicare and American Farmers from Sequester Cuts Act. So the argument we're trying to make to CMS and the kind of ideas you should be thinking about when you draft a comment letter is asking CMS to take action to end this constant reduction in payment. The conversion factor is now less than it was in the 1990s, and providers are going to leave Medicare and beneficiaries are going to lose access unless CMS does something about this issue. We are encouraging them to work with Congress. We are encouraging them to do whatever they can to alleviate the burden that providers are suffering due to these constant cuts. So over on the right side of the page here, I've got some comment writing tips, questions that you can answer in your comment letter that'll help you deliver an effective message. So is payment impacting your ability to see Medicare patients? Have you considered leaving the Medicare program? And is your business struggling due to these cuts? Telling CMS the answers to these questions will help make your comment letter as effective as possible. So moving on to the next issue is another one that we've kind of seen before. So we know that historically private practice is the only place in Medicare where direct supervision is required for PTAs. Now, on the other side of things, under state law, 44 states have general supervision. And then most recently, during the public health emergency, we have what's called direct supervision through virtual presence, which is just like general supervision, but instead of a telephone call, it's like a FaceTime call. So in this year's Medicare physician fee schedule, CMS is asking which providers or settings should we make permanent direct supervision through virtual presence. So the argument APTA and its members is going to make is that CMS should make PTA supervision in all settings general. We are supportive of general supervision. We think that state practice acts and supervision requirements will protect patients, and that Medicare doesn't need to impose this stricter requirement in this one specific setting. Alternatively, if CMS does not move forward with general supervision, it should, in the very least, allow for direct supervision through virtual presence for PTAs, because that is much more flexible standard than direct supervision. So your comment writing prompts are PTAs safe and efficient providers? Do PTAs help with staffing shortages? And would general supervision help your practice and your patients? Answering these questions helps show CMS just how important it is that supervision changes and kind of bolsters your argument. So moving on to the next issue and the final issue, and to be honest, the issue that I am most excited about is that we have kind of this new opportunity in the fee schedule this year. In the proposed rule, CMS has called for comments on underutilized services. Specifically, they're looking for information on services that they already cover that are high valued and will ultimately reduce costs for the Medicare system. Now, this is an incredible opportunity. This couldn't be more applicable to physical therapy. This is where we need you to write your comments, tell your personal story, talk about your patients and the treatments that you provide them and how it prevents avoidable healthcare costs and improves people's lives. So the argument we're really trying to make to CMS is that CMS needs to rethink PT services. It's not just after somebody gets injured or after somebody has surgery. PT is effective preventive care. It can manage pain, it can manage chronic conditions, and so much more. Now, one of the other things CMS wants to hear about is what are the barriers preventing you from providing these services? So is it the plan of care signature requirement? Is it the fact that physicians just don't think of physical therapy as preventive care? Or is it because patients don't think of physical therapy as preventive care? All of these are options, and you can provide as many examples as you want that even vary from what we have there on the screen. So your comment writing prompts are, what do you do that prevents costly, avoidable Medicare? And then who are the patients that benefit from those services? And what prevents you from doing it right now? So APTA is going to submit robust comments on this issue. But at the end of the day, we can't tell your individual unique story. But if we get as many APTA members as possible to submit their stories on this issue, we have a really good chance of getting CMS to take some action to reduce those barriers, increase education about the services you provide, and ultimately get more people these life-changing services. So those are the three issues we're really looking forward to getting as many people as possible to submit feedback on. And we've got a lot of resources. You can see links in the description of this video to more content that describes these issues, but that's it in a nutshell.
Wow, Kate, there is a lot of good stuff in there and some bad stuff. Is that right?
Yeah, there sure is. And I know folks are probably getting advocacy fatigue about the conversion factor and even the PTA issues, but I can't stress enough how important it is we submit comments on this underutilized services issue. It is so rare for CMS to say publicly, they want to spend more money on something, what should it be? So we've got to make some progress on this issue. And the only way we can do that is to get people to tell their story.
Totally. And this one, as you just said, is really one that you have to. Opportunities like this don't come around a ton. And APTA really can make the case that a PT can be used in a variety of ways. And I mean, what better opportunity to do than they're asking exactly for that? How can our services be used and what's stopping them from being used? But for that reason, telling your story is really more important than ever to highlight those issues. And as Kate alluded to before, this year, we have developed a suite of resources to make it as easy as possible for our members to draft these comments that are a little more personalized so they can make a bigger impact, but also keeping in mind that our members have a lot of clinical duties, a lot of clinical responsibilities, and that we don't want to waste too much of your time. So I think we should just jump in to our new regulatory advocacy strategy. So we've mentioned it a few times throughout this video so far, but you now know that APTA is offering a new approach to regulatory advocacy. And while you're probably familiar with the template and the form letters that we've offered in the past, which, as Kate has mentioned earlier, are still effective ways of advocating on regulatory issues. But since CMS is emphasizing the need for individual feedback, since they're presenting members with more opportunities to provide and share their stories, we want to help you all meet them where that information can be shared with the agency in a more impactful way. And so that means that we're trying to leverage the expertise of our membership to stay ahead of the curve and also to supplement APTA's comments, because our comments can include everything, but that doesn't mean that we can't together cover more ground. And so first thing I want to just talk about is how we're aiming to accomplish this. And that's through simplifying the process for members as much as humanly possible. And so as you've already just experienced, one of the ways that we're doing that is through education. And so that's webinars, videos, written articles, and podcasts, which are among the variety of ways that we disseminate information to members on major rules. And just by watching this, you've already educated yourself on the issues in the fee schedule and the common areas to focus on in the rule. And so that's something that we're going to be doing moving forward through this new strategy. Next, and newer to APTA, and I'm really excited about this, is our guidance document, which offers some detailed instructions on how to draft a personalized comment. Finally, we're also going to have a comment form that guides you through the drafting process to both simplify and formalize that process. And we're going to go into those a little more in depth in a minute. And so what are the goals of this? And so what we're looking to accomplish are three things. We want to promote our members in drafting more personalized comment letters that don't necessarily reiterate everything that APTA is saying, but also adds to it and really gets your perspective on paper in front of the agencies. And towards this end, we want our members to understand that we talk about a lot of things, but we see more value in your contributions to share your experiences on the issues that mean the most to you and that you have the most background on. And so we want you to feel comfortable commenting on things that you have significant experience on, and also that you have personal stories to share on those areas. And so we also think that this tool is going to be for everyone at any level of advocacy. We all have a vested interest in these changes, and the tool is just a stepping stone for those who want to contribute in a more meaningful way throughout their career, whether they're at the beginning, the middle, or the end. And so just with that intro, I want to introduce and familiarize the viewers with our guidance on the tools. So between the guidance and the form document, these are companion documents that are going to work best together. I will mention it throughout, but you can find all these resources on the Regulatory Action Center. As Kate mentioned, the URL will be available with this video. And generally, though, this guidance document is designed to give our readers confidence in writing short and effective comments that are based on their own personal experiences, be it clinical, educational, or research-based. We've designed it with three particular things in mind. First, that everyone has something to contribute. Often the largest barrier is organizing your thoughts, and we're here to do that for you. Second, not everyone has a lot of time. And so we want to have people understand that just because the rules are complicated, that their experiences are easier to share than they think, and that they are meaningful as far as it comes to regulatory advocacy. And finally, this is promoting a long-term skill, and that is being able to see and educate yourself through the APTA resources that you all know and love, that we provide overviews of these rules, and that you can jump in and do this for any rule that you see fit. If it means something to you, you should be able to pop in, and write a comment very quickly. And so let me just talk a little bit more about how the guidance accomplishes that and what exactly is in it. So first, the guidance is structured to provide step-by-step and sentence-by-sentence guidance on how to write an effective and short comment. So from how you describe your authority on a subject to how you discuss the experiences your experiences as they relate to the policy proposals. It also provides running examples to show what an effective form of each step looks like, and more importantly, how it's distinct from an ineffective example. Finally, in recognition and value of your time, we do have a bunch of tips on how to approach the process and the steps that are outlined in the guidance. So if you have more or less time to dedicate to writing a comment, you'll know exactly how to spend your time. And in particular, we really can't emphasize this enough. We really want you to use your time advocating efficiently, and the guidance will teach you a skill that can be used across rules. Again, it's not specific to one rule or another. It's here to empower you to feel confident and comfortable that you can log on and write a comment on any policy. So it matters so much to us that you know this and have this opportunity that if you don't have time to read it, we do have a 5-minute explainer video. But for now, I'm going to move on and talk about the comment form, which is, again, a companion to this guidance. So as I mentioned, the guidance gives you skills, but the comment form is going to provide some guide rails that help you closely follow the general structure of the steps that you'll learn about when you read the guidance document. So what this document does is it really is meant to organize your thoughts and generalize a formalized submission-ready comment letter, which is visible in the middle of the screen on this slide. And I want to show you sort of the 4 major elements of this form and how they produce the finished product for you, because these forms are going to be available for all the major comment opportunities that we want our members to submit comments on. And so it's not always going to look exactly the same, but it'll be structured in the same way. And so first, we have the rule resources. At the top, we want you to have the policy primers available so that you can see the articles, podcasts, webinars, and videos that we've been talking about, including things just like Kate's fee schedule presentation that she just gave moments ago. And most effectively, comments are going to require you to know the issue. If you want to advocate, you have to know what you're talking about to some extent. But second, we just ask that people put in a little background information, which populates the names and dates on your formal comment letter that's generated. And third, we also have an opportunity to enter some information about your practice experience, about where you come from. And this is what we call the statement of authority, which is who you are, why your opinion matters, and why the agency needs to take your comments seriously. Because as a clinician, they do need to. That's what they're looking for when they are asking for feedback from stakeholders. And so fourth, what we have here is each rule will have the policy issues broken down. So just as Kate went through each of the policy issues on the fee schedule, there's going to be an opportunity to make comments on any of those or other ones that are not even available. But the idea is that you don't have to do all of them. You can just pick the ones that mean the most to you. And so ultimately, this form is going to be available and it's going to help guide you through this process. So you don't have to think about it at all, other than just thinking about what your experiences are in the clinical setting, how policies have affected you in the past, and how changing policies will affect you in the future. And so what happens when you actually fill out this form? Well, you're going to get an email that has both 3 things, which is that it's going to have a submission-ready comment in PDF form that you can drag and drop using the submission instructions that are also attached to it, or you have editable comments in a Word document. So if you do want to make changes after you submit this form and get your comments in this email, you still have the opportunity. It's not too late, because at the end of the day, you still need to go on regulations.gov and submit them. All of that is in the submission instructions here. And finally, I know I said it before, but it can never be stressed enough. If you're looking for these, because we want you to look for them, you can find them on the Regulatory Action Center. They are going to be both in immediate opportunities and also hanging around at the top in the introduction section. But for now, back to Kate.
Wow. Yeah, Andrew, that is a lot of stuff. It looks like members have access to resources that tell them what the major issues are in the rule, resources on just in general how to draft an effective comment letter, and then even a form that will help them organize their thoughts and take their comments and create a slick looking comment letter for them to submit, right?
That is absolutely correct, Kate. And as you mentioned, we have designed all of this to make it as seamless, easy, and quick as possible so you can make your voice heard and get back to doing what you do best, which is helping patients out.
Yeah, that's really what APTA is all about. We want to give you the tools you need to be the most effective advocate, the most effective clinician, and the most effective representative of the profession that you can be. So please take this opportunity to use these resources, submit your comments, tell your story to CMS. We really think this year is an opportunity that telling your story can really drive change. So if you have any questions, if you are working through these resources and something's not making sense, we are here to help. Please shoot us an email, advocacy@apta.org. The comment deadline is September 6th. So you got a little bit of time, but it will move quickly, as us in the regulatory team know that time goes very quickly during rule season. So don't wait. Links to all of the information you need is in the description of this video. And again, if there's something you can't find, if you think you heard one of us say there was something out there and you're not sure, advocacy@apta.org, shoot us an email. We're here to help. So once again, comments due September 6th. And thank you for watching this video, and thank you for being an APTA member.